What's up, everybody? It is Thursday, July 2nd. It is now 10:03 a.m. Arizona time. We're going live for the first time. What could go wrong with that? We'll see. So stay tuned. What's up, everybody? It's Greg Corbett with the AZ Lifestyle Group right here in Phoenix, Arizona. If this is your first time to this channel and you're looking to find out everything you need to know about what it's like living in and or moving to the Phoenix area, make sure to hit that subscribe button and click the bell so you can be notified whenever we post a new video. We are helping people from all over when it comes to finding the best places and neighborhoods to live here, and we absolutely love it. So if you're even thinking about making a move or relocating and you need any assistance whatsoever, give us a call, send us a text, shoot us an email, however you want to get a hold of us. We got your back when it comes to moving to the Phoenix Metro. All right, so we're going live here. We'll get right into it. Let me bring in my good friend and partner on these live videos, Rudy Lopez with Prime Lending. Good morning, Rudy. How are you, man?
Morning, Greg. Doing well. Getting ready for our 4th of July weekend. So yeah, everything's great, man.
Nice.
How are you doing?
Good. Same thing. It's been a busy week, and in a good way. We're trying to get ready. We're taking off to Sedona tomorrow, and just kind of getting out of town, trying to beat the heat. It's going to be hot this weekend, so it's not going to be too cool up there, but it'll be a little cooler than down here. So, What about you guys? What are you up to?
We're staying in town. We have a 2-month-old, soon to be 2-month-old. So traveling and staying in hotels or Airbnbs are going to be really difficult here for the foreseeable future. Yeah. So we're going to stay in town, maybe grab a bite to eat somewhere and just take it easy, but really nothing too exciting. And I'm sure I'll be working in between all that as well.
I get
It's crazy times right now with work. So, we'll just kind of play by ear as it is right now.
Yeah, I mean, with work and what we got with COVID right now, and not really having the typical 4th of July, no fireworks, no large gatherings and that type of thing, and a lot of people have their pools shut down in communities right now. Thankfully, if you have your own, that's good, and you can still have a little barbecue out back. But it's crazy times right now for sure.
Yeah, it's a real bummer. We were hoping to watch the fireworks on Saturday, and we found out last night that they're going to be canceled. Yeah. But it's just something going around the whole country. The whole country's in a difficult situation right now. We're all going through this together. But hopefully it'll pass soon, and we can move on to life as it was before. Hopefully,
I hope so. Might be a little longer than we all planned, but we'll get through it. We'll get through it. So I mean, I wanted to bring you in on these, and I think for both of us, like, our goal is to help people that are moving here. I mean, we spend a lot of time talking to people over the phone when people reach out, and we felt like YouTube would be a great opportunity, and to share it with the channel for people that are living from anywhere, not only in the U.S. but all across the world. If they're looking at Arizona, to kind of figure out, what the benefits are, what might be a good place, neighborhoods, that type of thing, and just answering questions when people are like, okay, hey, I'm thinking about moving. What can I do? So I think that's our goal. So for anybody who's watching this right now, ask questions. We're here for you. These are going to be live every 10 a.m. or every Thursday at 10 a.m. Arizona time. So come hang out with us, or if you're watching this after, leave some comments below and we can connect that way. So, but why don't we start off with this? Let's talk about what you're seeing market-wise currently right now in Arizona. Any kind of special things that you're seeing on your end?
Yes, I would start off by saying don't let the heat scare you right now. It's 110 degrees plus. I think we had a cold front on Tuesday, right, for 98 degrees. I think it was down to, so it was nice.
Yeah, that was
nice. Yeah, so some of the things I'm seeing, a lot of remote workers. Folks that work with companies in different states, and they are now allowed to work remotely, and they are planning on possibly moving to other states that have lower taxes, lower cost of living, maybe better weather. closer to family possibly.
Yep.
So I'm seeing a lot of folks that are moving from other states that are allowed to stay with their same company, work remotely, and they're looking into the Phoenix metro area as their possible future home. So seeing a spike in those potential clients. And then obviously with inventory being so low, seeing a lot of situations with multiple offers,
right.
Not a lot of houses out there, especially in areas that are highly desirable at the price that is highly desirable, and multiple offers where it just takes a lot of creativity to be able to win those offers on the buyer's side. And really my biggest recommendation in situations like that is to over communicate, to be an advocate. I'm a huge advocate for my clients when it comes to submitting offers, and it's a multiple offer situation. But that's what I'm seeing right now. Mostly people relocating, and then a lot of offers on houses because there's just such a shortage in inventory.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of strategy involved, especially for people that are trying to do this remotely. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts. I mean, when you're looking at houses online, it's easy to find that one that looks perfect. But when you're trying to get offers accepted, and then if you get under contract and you're trying to do your inspections and appraisals and trying to do all that remotely, I mean, you really need a team of people to help you out and make sure that you're getting taken care of. I think preferably people would rather be here for that whole process, but with everything that's going on, a lot of people are like, hey, I've got to be able to manage this from afar. And so we're doing our best to make that happen for everybody.
Yeah, and we touched upon it briefly last week where a lot of folks are doing virtual walkthroughs. They're doing virtual inspections. They're submitting offers from across the country. And to your point, working with a trusted local expert is just hands down the only way to go. I've actually worked with quite a few clients that were originally pre-approved with out-of-state lenders or online lenders and ultimately decided to work with me due to the fact that we know the local market. We can give them a lot more useful advice than someone that isn't physically living here. So yeah, by far, if there's one place to start is by working with a local real estate expert that can show you the ropes and can help you figure out exactly how to navigate through all this craziness that we're currently going through.
Yeah, well, and like you said, same thing on the lending side too, because I don't know how many deals I've been involved with where people they call up somebody who's like a national lender from all over, and they're talking to somebody in Texas and they're trying to do a deal here in Arizona. I mean, the numbers sound good a lot of times, but that person has a job to get you signed up front, and then they're passing you off typically to their underwriters once it gets close to closing, and you really don't have any advocate at that point. They can't help you out. And then a lot of times you're just stuck in limbo for a lot of times, which can put you in a very bad situation as well. So it's definitely huge to have somebody who's here, who's your main point of contact the entire time, who you're never going to get passed off to anybody else and can get the deal done for you.
Yeah, and it starts early as well, because if you're thinking about relocating, whether it's Arizona or anywhere else, you really need to start doing your due diligence early on in the process, not until most people they know they're going to move in a month, and then they all of a sudden start applying or they start looking at houses. You really need to do your due diligence 90 days, 120 days before the actual move-in date, because there could be potential roadblocks. You might be needing to sell your house. There could potentially be some credit issues possibly, or even the amount of money that you originally thought you would have to save up. It might change. So being well prepared, well ahead of time, and putting together a strategy with your real estate, with your realtor, as well as your lender, and everyone being on the same page is extremely crucial during this time right now. I cannot overstress how important that is.
Yeah, I agree 100%. For people that are moving, I know we get this question pretty often, and this completely is right up your alley. You've got people who are either looking to move here. They have a situation where their job is able to let them work remotely, where they can just transfer, no big deal. They can keep the same job. Obviously, in that situation, it shouldn't affect them if they're moving from obtaining financing. But talk about any situations where people move out here and maybe they have to have, maybe they're getting a new job, how would that affect them moving out here? Like, do they need to work in that new job for 6 months to a year if it's in the same field? Like, what kind of challenges could come up if people are changing jobs?
Well, one of the biggest challenges, or the most common challenges, when someone is moving from one company to a totally different company, and possibly there being a delay on when they're going to start, or maybe their income is going to change. That's typically where we run into a few snags, where the income is not going to change. I have someone specifically who is looking to relocate from another state currently, and he's moving from one company to another. He anticipated his income to be exactly the same. However, it's going to be roughly about 30% lower than what he's currently making, because for that particular job title, the pay is a little bit lower here in Arizona. Yeah. So that did put a little damper on the situation. Dropped his sales price a tiny bit. Yep. So it wasn't a deal killer, but that is one huge roadblock. If you're transferring with the same company, that's about as easy as it gets typically. Okay. If your job's staying the same, if your income, if your pay structure is staying the same, if all that stuff is staying the same, but you're just moving to another state, then just a letter from your employer stating those facts, being very specific on your salary, your job title, none of that stuff is changing. We could use that, and we could actually get you approved before you even start your job here in Arizona with that letter. So it's definitely possible for you to move here, get approved, move here, hand you the keys, and during that process, you starting your job. So it's not always the case that you need to start working before you actually move here. So there's lots of different strategies to get that done, and we're doing that currently.
Okay, awesome. I think that's super helpful for people. I mean, I think the goal is to it's a stressful process moving as it is. And then, to move and try to get yourself into a new place, there's so many moving parts. And so, from our point of view, we're trying to make that as smooth and the least amount of stress as possible, and all those little things help.
Yeah, and I think with the smooth and the least amount of stress as possible is also over communicating. We're all busy. Everyone is slammed. Everyone is just overwhelmed with work. However, taking the extra 30 seconds to a minute to pick up the phone and call the client, or if you're submitting an offer, I call the listing agent to let them know that I'm always available in the event that they have any additional questions. And just being there and being available, I think in this crazy environment can really help with the stress level and with the anxiety and with everything that's going on. So I think if you were to ask me what's the biggest differentiator, is just to over communicate.
Well, and especially in this world where a lot of people, and it's one of those things. A lot of people just like communicating via text. I understand that. It's our new way of life for a lot of people. But in this situation, like, it's really important to be able to answer your phone, number one, and also pick up from our end. Like, we're going to pick up the phone and call you. Like, if I can send you like a yes or no text here and there, sure, but you cannot miss some of the context of these conversations, and that needs a phone call. So we like working with people who can't answer the phone. It's not going to happen all the time. We understand that people are busy, but it definitely is helpful and will make the process a lot less stressful if we can communicate that to you that way, or jump on a Zoom call, however we can do that.
Yeah, the Zoom calls are great because you can really condense all this information into a 15, 20-minute conversation and alleviate a lot of the back and forth that comes along with text messages or emails, or possibly just a 2-minute conversation that will lead into more and more conversations in the future. I think a Zoom call, we've done a few of them already, and they've been extremely beneficial for our clients and for everyone to be on the same page. And I can't stress that enough as well. So very good point on that.
Yep. Since we're already talking about it, why don't we get a little bit of an update? Can you give any kind of information on rates, down payment, like what are the programs looking like for the majority of people out there?
Yeah, so rates have been dropping a little bit. They've been obviously at historical lows for quite a while now. Right. The last week they did drop a little bit as well. Some of the conventional loans are in the low 3% range. FHA slightly lower than that. It really all depends, obviously, on credit
Yep.
and the situation that the individual is in. But it's as far as down payment, for first time home buyers, you can go as little as 3% down, and there's also a program that does not have an income. Some of these 3% lower down payment programs, they do have income limits. However, there is one in particular that you can still, if you're a first-time home buyer and you exceed certain income limits, you can still qualify for 3%.
Okay.
And, most people, obviously, first-time home buyers, they think that they need to save up 20% down. And, we go through different strategies. If you, let's say you do have 20% down, maybe it's prudent of you to put 10% down and save the remaining 10% for other expenses that are going to come along, because as you know, buying a house can be expensive sometimes, and a lot of hidden costs that people don't normally think about. But really right now, the sweet spot that I'm doing, a lot of folks with the 3 to 10% range. I do have a lot of folks that are doing 20%, but for the most part, a lot of folks haven't been able to save that up unless they're maybe possibly selling a house and then they're using all of that equity for the 20% range. But a lot of conventional loans, a lot of FHA loans, in that down payment range.
I know we had a situation come up this week with good friend of mine who's also looking to purchase, who is looking for construction financing. It sounds like with all the coronavirus stuff going on, a lot of lenders have kind of backed off doing any construction loans, renovation loans, that type of thing. Besides that, are there any other programs that you're seeing that might be limited currently due to the situation we're dealing with right now?
So the jumbo loans have taken a little bit of a step back. They're still available, but most jumbo loans are now requiring 20% down, whereas before you could go as little as 15%, even 10% in some situations. So the jumbo products have tightened up a little bit. The debt to income ratios have been a little tighter. Now the borrower, not only do they need 20% for a jumbo loan, but they also need to have reserves in their bank account after closing that as a cushion, so that there's enough in there in the event that something goes wrong. The jumbo construction loans, to your point, those have been temporarily suspended. However, there's talks of some jumbo construction loans coming back. Okay. Obviously, with the environment that we're in, products like that, they're going to be tight. They want to make sure that the borrowers are well qualified in order to be able to do it. But that is the biggest, or that's the most common one that I've done that has tightened up a bit, is on the jumbo side. And jumbo is a loan amount greater than $510,400. So anything above $510,400 is considered a jumbo loan. Okay. Anything at that loan amount and below is conventional for your Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac products.
And what's the loan limit on FHA at this point right now?
It depends on the county. So HUD has different limits depending on counties throughout the country. Okay. I want to say that here it's around $395, $600. So and it depends, but there's a website that will tell you what those are. Okay.
Nope. Sounds good. I think that sounds right. I haven't looked at it recently myself, and it changes quite a bit. So
it does.
All good. I'm trying to think if there's any kind of, I guess interesting situations that we could share with people who might be watching this to watch out for. We could spend all day talking about potential things, that type of thing. So, from a viewer's point of view, I'd love to provide value as best we can. So, anything that you can think of that's like, hey, if I was watching this, what would I want to share with people?
Yeah. So, I'm seeing a lot of multiple offer situations. So, kind of the life cycle of a multiple offer situation, I would say, is obviously when you, as a buyer, you've come to, you've determined how much you qualify for or how much you're willing to take out a loan for. If you submit an offer and there's multiple offers, some strategies that buyers or buyers agents will do is typically they'll they'll offer a little bit higher of a sales price if everyone's asking for the same amount. If it's listed for 400,000, maybe we go in a little higher at 405 or 410. Who knows? That is an option. However, you also have to make sure that the house appraises. So one thing that I run into recently is situations like that where we're offering a little bit above list price in order to win the deal. And, we obviously have to also make sure that the house appraises. So just having that offer accepted doesn't mean that it's we're done. We still have to go through the inspection, obviously, to make sure the house is sound and you're comfortable with all the everything that goes with the house. But also, we got to make sure that the house appraises for 410. It was listed for 400. Let's make sure it appraises for 410. And if it does not appraise for 410, then we have to renegotiate and figure out exactly if we're willing to pay that difference. Let's say it appraises for 405. Are you, as the buyer, willing to come up with that 5,000, or is the seller willing to maybe drop it down?
Chances are likely no.
Chances are highly likely that it's no.
No,
because they probably have 10 offers waiting after yours. So
well, it's a good point, and I apologize to cut you off, but it is huge when it comes to that appraisal process. And I will, this is one of the things that I stress about to everybody I talk to, and especially this is a huge part of where your agent can make the difference in making or breaking this deal. I meet with every single appraiser on every deal, unless I know it's an absolute slam dunk that we're undervalued. I mean, if there's any question that an appraiser is going to challenge our value, you got to be there, you got to meet with them, and you've got to explain to them. You're not there to sell them on anything. You're just there to explain the reasoning why. If you do it the right way, they will appreciate it. You give them all the comps that you have used to explain the value, because we're not trying to get our clients to overpay. I mean, the goal is not to have them overpay. The goal is to say, hey, look, there's a high demand on this property, and if you get in now, it's going to be worth more to you later on. So it's trying to save them money on that. But nothing is worse than having an appraisal come in that's low that completely kills the deal after you got excited about getting an accepted offer.
Yeah, and the good news for the buyer is that there's an appraisal contingency with the offer, meaning that if it does not appraise and both parties cannot come to an agreement, then the buyer can walk away from the deal.
Sure.
And that is a protection that obviously is strongly recommended that you put in your offers. But I think, to your point of meeting with the appraiser, but most importantly, having accurate comps. A lot of times we think we know what the house is worth, and some of the comps could possibly support that. But if appraisers don't work on emotion; they work on facts and what's on paper. So having accurate comps is going to definitely improve your chances in coming back with a reasonable appraised value or right at the asking price. So that's a huge deal.
Well, and once an appraiser's done with their appraisal, I mean, for them to change it is really bad news for them. So they're not going to want to do it. It is what it is. You could show them everything in support in the world. They're going to stick with their original value that they came up with, because it just never looks good for them if they change it. So it's a tricky situation for sure.
Yeah, and working with a local lender also can be a huge advantage for you as well, because if you're working with an online lender or an out-of-state lender, typically these lenders are not using their own appraisal management companies or their own appraisal team. So they're drawing out of a huge bucket of appraisers that are in that market, and oftentimes these appraisers may or may not be as local experts as you'd want them to be. So working with a company that does have that local expertise and can tell you the difference between this house on this side of the street and this house on that side of the street, why they're different in values is huge for both sides, for the listing agents, for the sellers, and for the buyers.
The other thing I wanted to ask, because you talked about multiple offers, do you see that in any specific price points? Are you seeing that across the board? What are you seeing the most?
Yeah, that's a good question. Anything in the 250 to 450 range, it just seems like guaranteed 5+ offers. And the thing about
I didn't even know there was anything for 250 anymore.
It's going to be hard to find.
Yeah.
It's going to be extremely hard to find.
Yeah.
But they're out there, and you probably haven't seen them because they're gone the minute they're up
They move
online.
quick.
Yes, they do.
And their majority, I would imagine, the majority of those 250 houses are kind of out in the more rural areas. We're talking, Santan Valley, Buckeye, Maricopa, those type of things. I'm trying to. I mean, do you any other place closer in where you've seen some deals in that 250 to 300 range that are closer?
I have not.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
You hit it pretty much on the head as far as the areas where they're in that price range.
Yep.
So again, that's where we're working with a local real estate expert, because we might get phone calls from out of state buyers that want to be in the 250 range, and when they understand the different areas and where they thought they could buy are not realistic. Knowing that ahead of time, knowing that 3-4 months ahead of time is going to be crucial for their planning.
Yep.
As far as multiple offers as well, one thing that I do is, I mentioned it earlier, is I always, 99% of the time, I call the listing agent. And it's funny how when we submit an offer and I talk to the listing agent, obviously as the buyer, your private information stays private. I never talk about any of your information, but I do explain that we've been working together for a while. I do explain that, this will be a smooth process for everyone involved. That can make a huge difference in a multiple offer situation where the listing agent possibly received 20 offers, and this one guy called me. His offer or their offer is more than likely going to make it to the top of the list to be considered, because these other 19 lenders did not call me. So it's knock on wood, it's been a huge difference maker in this crazy market, because we're all working under a lot of stress and a lot of pressure. And like I said earlier, taking those 30 seconds to make that human connection and to make that introduction for our buyers is huge in this market. Yeah,
I think a lot of buyers, are come in. They're looking for the best deal. We're looking to try to get them the best deal. But sometimes they want to beat the seller up a little bit and try to work them a little bit. Our goal is to make this a partnership where everybody wins. I mean, that's where everybody's going to be happy. And if you don't create that full partnership from everybody involved, it's going to be not a fun transaction a lot of times. So if you can help make it a win-win for everybody, we'll still do everything we can to get you the best deal, but there is some give and take where you got to give on some sides in order for them to work with you.
Yeah, and I get it as a buyer. You want to come in and offer less and get in for a steal, but at the same time, the sellers, they understand we're in a very competitive market, and they want to get top dollar for their house, and justifiably so on both sides. Both sides have their agenda, and you're right. We're there to make sure that we bridge the gap and that we're all working together as a team, because it does no one any good. It does your buyer, as a buyer, it does you no good lowballing every single offer and you getting frustrated and decide that maybe this isn't for you. And then as a seller, it does you no good not being willing to work with the offers that you are being presented. And your house is on the market for 90 days, 120 days, where it could have sold in in less time than that. So having a cohesive plan and working together, but most importantly, setting the proper expectations on both sides. If you're a seller or if you're a buyer, having the right expectations on price, area, schools, having those conversations, again, 90 to 120 days ahead of time can hopefully alleviate a lot of that stress. Yeah,
plan in advance as much as you can, for sure.
You have to in this market.
Yeah, it's a seller's market right now, and that's even with all the coronavirus stuff going on. Because of the limited inventory, like you were mentioning earlier, there's more buyers than there are homes right now. And that's mostly in that lower price point. I'd say anything under 500 probably. And in certain neighborhoods, obviously that creeps up a little bit. You might be more of in a competitive market, even in the 600 to 700 range. But there's a limited amount of inventory and there's a lot of buyers, so you gotta work together as a team to get this done. And it's not a situation that I definitely talk to a lot of people who are like, hey, it's coronavirus, like the seller better sell it now because nobody's going to be able to buy in 30, 60 days. I'm like, well, I can't tell the future. Who knows what's going to happen? But as of right now, we're not seeing that. So we're going to keep an eye on it. Everything is pretty fluid with all this stuff, and I don't know. I don't know if we bring that topic up, and might as well share. Between adding everybody wearing masks in public as of the last week and a half, we did shut down bars. We shut down malls and movie theaters, I think, and gyms. Kind of. There's a lot of gyms trying to still stay open, but they're trying to make some changes. Some agree, some disagree. I'm kind of down the middle on that. What do you think on that?
Yeah, I'm down the middle as well. I respect your opinion, whether you're 100% pro mask or you feel like masks are unnecessary. I respect that. Yep. And all we can do for me and my family is just to practice, on the air on the side of caution right now. And again, because I've got a 2-month-old and a 2-year-old, so my point of view and perspective, and you have a little one as well, so my perspective is a little more on them, making sure that I'm being as safe as possible. And one thing that I just thought of too on the real estate side, that we're in such interesting times where, as buyer, if you're a buyer, if you're out looking right now, to your corona point, if you're out looking right now, you're more than likely a qualified buyer, right? Because I've had a lot of folks that have placed their home search on hold right now because of all the scares that are going on. So if you're a buyer, more than likely you're serious and you're qualified, or you need to make a move for whatever reason. So that's one thing that could potentially as a buyer be on your side as an advantage, because a lot of sellers are either also waiting to sell their house. They don't want people in their houses right now. They don't feel safe. They maybe were looking to move 5-6 months ago. Now they're putting the sale of their house on hold until things settle down a little bit. So if you're a buyer in this market, you can use that to your advantage, in that you're more than likely qualified. You have the funds, you're serious, you're not just kicking tires and just submitting a bunch of offers. So that could be to your advantage. And as a seller, if you have a buyer that's submitting an offer, you have the lender and the realtor on the buyer side that are working together as a group, that could be something that that could help you make a decision as well, because you know that these guys are serious. Absolutely.
No, agree. Well, look, we're right around like 33 minutes right now. I think this was a really great start for going live, and hopefully we were able to provide you with some good information to start with. Right now our channel is fairly new, so we didn't have any questions that came up live right now. But again, if you're watching this later on, if you have questions, comment down below, or reach out and give us a call. Bring up our contact information here. So you can contact either myself or Rudy, call, text, email, however you want to get a hold of us. And, let's jump on a Zoom call. Let's figure out what your goals are, and, see how we can potentially help you, and give you good ideas on what to do, and also show you all the neighborhoods and kind of go through all of that. There's so much to know when you're moving here, and especially when you have limited time to be able to come check it out and you're buying remotely. Let us do all the legwork for you, and put you in the right spot so you don't have any second guessing of your decisions later on. So, Rudy, before we wrap up, like any parting thoughts?
No, I think to your point, just having the preparation well ahead of time is going to be huge. And everyone have a wonderful 4th of July weekend, and enjoy time with family despite all the craziness going on. Let's do our best to enjoy time with those close to us and our loved ones, and just make the best out of this. We'll get through it, but it's I know it's difficult right now, but that would be it. Try to spend as much time with your family over the weekend if you can.
Yeah, agree with that sentiment 100%. I mean, it's easy to pick up your phone and look at all the negativity going on right now, but I am a big believer that you just got to try to, push all that away and just focus on what you're grateful for and all the blessings that we do have, because there's a ton of them out there. We do. So thankfully, again, our families have stayed healthy so far. We're trying to do everything we can. We know not everybody can say that. It's a challenge right now, but we're all working together to try to get through this as best we can, and we will do so. So, like Rudy said, have a great 4th of July. Enjoy your weekend, and look forward to seeing everybody back here next week. Take care, everybody.